This is a broadcast by the Sublime Conventionists. This movement rejects postmodern, relativist, and pluralistic notions of truth. We wholly recognize the relative and subjective state of the human experience, but seek to uncompromisingly reaffirm the absolute nature of truth. Postmodernism's abolition of all absolutes has stretched beyond its limits and is becoming wearing. It is time for a new philosophy sufficient in explaining the needs of society. As modernism broke free of traditional ideals for signifying the absolute correctness of form, attempts to represent it in the plastic arts found identity in the purification of form and colour, abstraction. However, its rhetoric to express the absolute again stained its fidelity. Nonetheless, its approach was revolutionary. Modernism, through the removal of natural form, removed convention, and thus our ability to project culturally infused meaning. This was its objectivity and sublimity, the belief that this pure abstract image, void of convention and subjective signification, would elucidate the sublime was valuable but ironic. Since the image is void of convention, it is thus impossible to understand for the layman. Not only so, with its use, the abstract image becomes a symbol for the absolute and therefore is adulterated with convention. Not only was the logical conclusion of this philosophy the annihilation of the object itself, it was simply a paradox of inescapable signification. This inescapable dependence on convention understandably provoked structuralist, deconstructionist and postmodernist thinking. However, their heavy-handedness has not produced a firm but gentle enough framework to sustain the delicacy but power of an absolute. On the field of art history, postmodernism came to plough the dry ground, uprooting and revealing stubborn conventions. It prepared fertile soil for a new season of relevant, rational and sympathetic art in the contemporary world. We believe that the principle manifested in abstraction held the essence but not the means for the expression and revelation of truth. That is, understanding of convention, awareness of limitation, humility to yield, faith to engage. The humility required to yield to the sublimity of an absolute is the fundamental doorway to truth that the arts is awakening to. Not a truth forcing correctness and demanding conformity to specific modes of art, but a truth which is constant through relativism and personal judgment. A truth our society is yearning for. A truth that can be bedrock of forceful and influential art. Without the pursuit of an absolute truth, art cannot be supported. We are not claiming there is a truth that is unknowable because of subjectivity. Truth can be known, but only through the medium of each individual's personal understanding of convention and their environment. Art is the catalyst of this process. It is the intermediary of truth to each person's convention. Truth must and can only be experienced personally through individually held convention of which art can incept. We align ourselves with the spiritual awakening in the arts expressed in modernism, but are cautious, although sympathetic, of the stuckist's remissive attitude of conceptual art. Though we depend on subjective convention in communication, this is why we have been given ears to listen. It is the artist's responsibility, being the educated in manipulation of semiotics, meaning, expression, and construction, to communicate well and not be puffed up, elitist or arrogant. It is their responsibility to understand convention and use it to lead others forward. Two things must take place for art to work and truth to be elucidated. Truth must enter our convention. We must have the humility to see. This is the sublime. We have visualized this with two methods. One, metaphor and simile, the medium of the invisible in the visible. Two, foreign language, the medium of the visible in the invisible. Metaphor and simile reveal by wielding what is already known to bring into reality what isn't. Foreign language humbles by using image not in our convention to bring scope to what is but cannot be seen. Art which humbles but connects will open our eyes to a truth that liberates beyond hopeless subjectivity. This is Sublime Convention.